Hi everybody. So today is Thankful Thursday, and I want to talk about some things that are scientifically researched that have shown how gratitude helps both physically, emotionally, and especially for your mental health. So here's a couple of things that were really interesting. This was a study done by Wong and Brown, and they're psychology professors at the University of Indiana. And the four top things that were the takeaway from the research study that they did. And what they did was they took about 300 college students who were about to enter psychological counseling because they had a lot of depression and anxiety in their life. And I thought, you know, that's really perfect. And one of the whole purposes behind their research project was that they saw that gratitude journaling and just the act of doing a weekly gratitude session where people were reflecting about what they were thankful for made a huge difference. But they said, well, what about the people who aren't in a good mental health place when they start the process? Does gratitude journaling have the same effect on them that it does on people who are already mentally healthy when they start the process? And it was very interesting because what they found was that gratitude journaling has an amazing effect and helps tremendously in the healing process and the growth process of people who are experiencing anxiety and depression and other mental health challenges before they start the process. And during the process, they found that if they combined the counseling, weekly counseling, with gratitude journaling, and they just did it once a week, and they just did it for a small number of times, when they came back and revisited and rechecked and asked the participants that did the journaling project with the counseling, how did they feel? It was the elevation and the growth and the change that they experienced in their mental health was really significant. And even 3 months later, after the study, they went back in and did functional magnetic resonance imaging, functional MRIs, and looked at their brains. And they saw that the medial prefrontal cortex was more engaged, and the people that had practiced and really grown being able to express their gratitude were more active in that part of their brain. And that part of your brain is one where you make decisions. So it was very interesting to see that. So I'm going to read off a list here and kind of go over some of the top 4 things that were the takeaways, the insights from the study. Gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. That's pretty big in my book, right? Because a lot of times we get stuck in this loop in our head and we get focused on the really toxic, bad things that have happened in our life, and we don't look at the great things that we do have. It's a human nature. It's not an autistic thing. It's not a regular person thing. It's a human thing. Our brains focus on the negative, and that's been proven over and over again in scientific research as well. The other thing is gratitude helps even if you don't share it. So if it's just a personal gratitude writing that you do, and if you do a gratitude letter, and that's one of the exercises that we're going to do along this journey, and you can mail it to them, you can share it with somebody, over a video or a phone call, you can take it to them in person. And what they found was if you do that, there are other benefits that you get from it, but you still reap the benefits of that gratitude letter, even if you just write it and keep it for yourself. The third thing was gratitude's benefits take time. This is not something where you get an immediate result where you write it and all of a sudden you feel better. This is something, and they showed it in their study, that 3 or 4 weeks later, that's when people started really seeing some changes from that gratitude letter 3 weeks earlier. Then 12 weeks into it, there was even more mental health improvements. There was even more increasing growth and awareness of not just themselves, but of the world around them. And that was a huge change. And then the even more significant part was when they did the fMRI 3 months after the very last session, there was even more growth. And the growth in the things that happened were huge. So you have to be patient, and you have to remember that the benefits of gratitude take time and that it's not going to be immediate. Daily or weekly gratitude practice that's consistently done will make a larger impact over time. And what they found was you don't necessarily have to do this every day. It's actually better if you don't. It's better if you just do it once or twice a week. And the reason is when we have a positive change, we have a positive engagement, our brains immediately respond to it and start to make changes. Well, you need time for your brain to process all those changes that you're making. And if you're doing it every day, you're overwhelming yourself. And I know for me, I do better in little small chunks, and I do lots of big changes, but I have to process it and digest it. You might be the same. The last item is that gratitude has lasting effects on the brain. And what they saw was that those areas of the brain that were more engaged, the 3 months later, it showed greater neural sensitivity in the medial prefrontal cortex, which is a brain area associated with learning and decision making. This suggests that people who are more grateful are also more attentive to how they express gratitude. So when we're engaging gratitude, we're strengthening, because neurons that fire together wire together, right? We know the science of the neuroplasticity, and we are working for the next 12 weeks on how to become more aware. And this is one of those really great steps in increasing your sensitivity and your awareness. And it's through gratitude. Because when we start to become aware, and we are aware of the world around us and the people around us and how we're affected by those things, then our awareness changes and increases our ability to make good choices, better choices. And when we have more awareness, we're making better choices. Our outcomes are better. Our outcomes are what we seek, what we want for our life. So start today on Thankful Thursday. And in the comments below the Thankful Thursday post, talk about and think about if there was a person or a thing, if there's something in your life or an activity, that if it was removed from your life, how would that change your everyday? How would that change your life? Because when we reflect on the subtraction of something that we have in our life, we reflect on how it impacts us. And we can be more aware of how we can be more grateful for what we have and who we have in our life. Thanks so much for sharing. And my share's in the comments down on the Thankful Thursday post. Have a great Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow for the video.